This is a repair on a Craftsman M100 with a 140cc 5.00 foot-pounds of gross torque. So this is a pretty good sized little engine. This has the modern plastic carburetor, the big black one with the black bowl, and as you can see, I'm going to have to go in and address that air filter because there's not a lot of room for air to pass there because of all the grunge. I just picked this up this morning. I picked this mower up and also a Toro recycler, which is over there. But we're going to get this one going first. He claims it runs, but it didn't start when I picked it up. He tried to start it and wouldn't start. He said it had a bad right front wheel. I can show you that. So we're going to have to address that. You can see that it's kind of, I don't know if you can tell there, it's kind of wonky. It's still straight, it's sort of like that. And the reason for that is what often happens is somebody will drop these off the back of their truck and it'll land, and then you can see that plate that the axle is on, that the wheel attaches to, and there's a little bend in that, slight bend. So it's probably that. It could actually be a little bit of bent axle as well, and I'm either going to straighten that out or replace it. And you say, well, how in the heck would you replace it? Well, this whole piece here is removable for across the spectrum of different mowers. You can switch and swap them out, whether it's Troy-Bilt or MTD or Craftsman. This plastic piece fits a huge number of mowers, and I may just put this one on from one that I salvaged. This is the front here, and I would just replace it like that. That may be the simplest thing to do, but I may try and straighten that thing out. So stay tuned with me. We have a lot of fun working on these mowers together and learning things, little tips and tricks I've learned over the years from repairing hundreds of these. The wheels they roll smooth, so that's good. I noticed the handle had a lot of movement in it, and as often the case with these threads get really tight and are hard to move, so you've got to get a big pair of pliers, put that on there and cinch it down. And then this handle was moving quite a bit. Now it moves just a little bit. Because you want to snug that up. Otherwise, this handle really kind of wiggles around. Now, the other thing I like about this one is it has the adjustable point positions here. There's 3 holes. There's 1, and then 2 here's in the middle, and then 3. And the one in the middle allows you to have the handle high. And I'm almost 6 feet tall, so I like that. I hate having to bend over and push a lawnmower. I'd rather have it sit high up where my hands are high. So we've got that feature, which I like, because some of these don't have that. They're just straight. There's only one place to go in, and the handle sits kind of low. It's missing the discharge chute, and so this is a mulcher now, unless I find one or make one for that. I see a lot of grass up in there, so we could have a mouse living up there, or it may just be this grass buildup. I know the cord works because he tried to start it when I picked it up this morning. so that I know the rewinder's good. So we're just gonna do some checks on this thing, and I did want to show you this. You always want to look underneath your mower, and I do this maybe at least once a year, just to check the blade and make sure there's nothing weird going on. I'll show you what I mean. See, on this one, I've tilted it back on my table, and you can see that there is a lot of stuff wrapped around that crankshaft. And it looks like a trash bag or plastic or something. And you think, well, that's no big deal, but what can happen is, especially if it gets up around that main seal, it'll ruin that just from the friction of a lot of times you see people have got cord wrapped around there that they've run over, and they don't bother to look, and then they'll tear out their main seal from just friction of that rubbing 3,000 RPMs, just scraping it away, heat and everything. The other thing you may notice, you guys who are familiar with these mowers, this is wrong. It looks like it is, it's gonna be either stripped or the wrong kind of adapter, because this blade should be like that on this adapter, but it's wrong. So I've got to address that. So the blade's going to come off. It's had a lot of stuff. It'll have to be sharpened, and so that's where we are on this one. So let's take a look here. I'm going to put this mower back down on the work table, and let's take a look under the air filter and see how bad that is. I think you can see that. Yep. My son brought his mower over the other day. It's a modern one like this, and it wouldn't start. And he thought it was old fuel, bad fuel. But what happened was he was getting no air. This air filter was completely packed off, sort of like that one. You're not going to get much flow through there. And you have to get air going in there in order to create enough airflow across the top of that carburetor to suck fuel in there. You can get some fuel in there with the primer bulb, but then it's going to have a hard time continuing to run, because you're not going to get air flowing across the top of that emulsion tube that's going to draw the fuel in if you've got it all plugged up with a gack. So this is going to have to be changed, cleaned, swapped out, whatever. I mean, there's so much in there that it's chunks of stuff in there, so that's got to come out. It does have a lot of fuel in it, and maybe this thing's going to run. I'm going to check the plug, because I always want to check the plug and make sure that nobody has messed with that and changed the gap and closed it too tight, because in my opinion that can cause a fire, especially if you're using starter fluid and that gap is wrong. Let's pause here now, and we'll come back and start the next phase.